was the heart of our show. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Finn was the heart of the show. So, and Cory was the heart of our group.
You know what was obviously, Cory Monteith was unbelievably sad and such a tragic story. But you know what was so interesting in your episode with Ryan is it said like, he really just didn't want to do the show anymore, or like didn't want to create, the show. The spirit was kind of gone. And I'm sure you guys kind of felt the same way, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we said this before even Ryan had said it out loud as well. Like, I feel like when Cory died, the show died with him in many ways. Mm-hmm. It became a different show, right? You no longer you're moving forward in a different way with that. And so it was really hard to do. And it was never the same for me, at least.
Yeah. I remember like in an interview years ago, I got flack for saying that. Like I got
really?
Well, I said in an interview and people like on Twitter and all these things were saying that I was like talking crap about the show. I'm like, no. I just said the show was never the same after Cory died, because obviously it was not.
It wasn't.
Like, going to work, in the same places that we spent every waking hour with him, and on creatively, them having to figure out how to carry on doing this.
He was the heart of our show. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Finn was the heart of the show. So, and Cory was the heart of our group.
Mm-hmm. So the show wasn't the same. And it was nice to hear Ryan's perspective of that, because we had never talked about that. Because when you're in the middle of it, I think everyone, it's just, you're barely hanging on, keeping it together, being professional and just, keeping your head down and keep going. And so it was really refreshing and also like helpful, I think, in terms of when you look back on these experiences, to be able to see like, what is this other side of it that seems, the higher ups, and you think there's all these conspiracies going on, and it was very helpful, I think, for Jenna and myself to be able to talk to him about that.
Yeah. And I think what was so interesting too is like Cory's death kind of, pulled everybody apart, the show, everything like that. But Naya's death really brought everybody together in a healing space, which I thought was a beautiful thing. It really was. I mean, what was that experience like for you both? Talk about everything, that you had to, a lot of issues that you had unresolved.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that happened sort of, I mean, thinking back on it, like funnily in the spirit of Naya, who would just speak her mind and was so good at making sure we all spoke our mind and spoke up for each other, that from the moment that happened a couple years ago, we were all sort of just, and Ryan opened himself up to it, to being, to receiving all, and it was like, it was weird timing. Like, why is this happening now? But everyone was so emotionally raw and just sort of like, how is this happening? Why is this happening? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about everything. And I didn't know there was so much unresolved to talk about amongst everyone. And it was really nice that everybody could find a space to feel comfortable and open and trusting enough to do that. And I think at that point, like, you're so far past the show, you have nothing to lose by speaking your mind, because, and I think that the biggest thing for me, and I remember speaking to Ryan and to like Jenna and Becca, where it's like nobody should have to carry any of this negativity towards this wonderful experience anymore. Like if you have anything, you need to like get it out, just duke it out, talk about it, because we were kids, we were young, we were learning, and those are some of the hardest things to get past.
Yeah, I think also like we all like kind of tiptoed, like I said before, like we were all tiptoeing around it, because Ryan, like the leaders weren't talking about what actually happened, or, they weren't incredibly transparent about the show and the media. They weren't addressing in the media what was, being brought to light. And so that was really hard, because we were kind of taking cues off of everybody else, and there was nobody really like at the forefront. And so we felt we wanted to be respectful in so many ways, right? Because it was a good experience for us. And I think you only see a lot of the bad things. And so when Cory died, it was like, there was actually, he did bring us together as well, so it tore the show up in many ways, but he brought us together as a cast. And then, but we were still doing the show. There was a lot to lose. There was, jobs at stake. There was just a lot. And then, like Kevin said, after Naya passed, it was like, we had a lot of space away from the show and a lot of time to process. And a lot of people had time to actually sit with their feelings. And I think that was also really good for us because we had the time to reflect.
Did you feel a lot of negativity towards the show when you left? And then is maybe rewatching these episodes again, is it giving you a different viewpoint of it?
Honestly, I think there was a little bit of negativity. I think for me, I didn't feel as negatively as it, we've seen, out there, but like, it also feels like sometimes when you don't talk about it and you don't address it to everybody, which is the world in so many ways, like I feel like it snowballs into this imaginary thing. And for me, it got bigger and bigger and bigger, whereas I actually didn't have that much hatred towards the show or negativity. And it became a bigger thing than it was. And so to actually release that and tell Ryan how we were feeling and talk about it and have this podcast as an outlet and be really transparent with people, I think it's been really healing in many, many ways.
For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.